Hello everyone, and welcome back to another flight on our tour around Iceland. We'll be carrying on from where we left off previously, which is why we're here at Selfoss Airport. We came and parked up by the tower last time. I've put us straight on the runway here, which I believe is runway 33. So we'll be heading out in this direction. I today want us to fly from Selfoss Airport to the Westman Islands, or Vestmannaeyjar. We will head east from Selfoss, carrying on our journey eastwards. We'll fly around Hekla volcano, up near the Þjórsárvötn Valley, and then we'll head south around the back of an area called Thorsmork, and then we'll see a perhaps familiar sounding mountain and glacier, and then we'll go south across the sea to the Westman Islands, or Vestmannaeyjar. I'm sticking with the DA-40 aircraft from Alabeo for ease. It seems to be the best aircraft for general aviation. I will mix things up a little bit, but just for now this is a good plane for me to be able to fly easily and talk at the same time. Using weather of Active Sky Next. The weather here is alright. It seems quite calm and quite clear. We'll again play it by ear, as I've said. It does change quite a lot, so traditionally around Hekla and the area we're flying, the weather can get a little bit gnarly, so we'll see what it's like. And we're in prepared 2.2. and using TrackIR for the head movements. And as always, I'll try and keep it to a minimum so you can watch what's happening. And that's about it really. I will do some flights in X-plane as well and other aircraft, but just for now, on our third flight, I thought this was a good flight to take us into the Westman Islands, so you can see some more there. Let me just bring the map across so you can see where we are today and what we're going to be doing. So again, using Google Maps, just show you the route we'll be taking. So we're currently here, which is Selfoss. We will head east, and I'll fly directly towards Hekla here, the volcano. We'll fly up here, around or over it, before we turn south, behind this little glacier here, and then through the valley between this glacier and this slightly more familiar glacier, which you'll probably have heard of, and then fly up the valley and the river, and then south to here, where we will land, probably on runway 113 in the Westman Islands. I've just checked the weather over there. I can show you. Weather is quite windy, hardly a surprise, but it looks good visibility. So the wind is 17 knots, 090. Looking at the charts, the closest runway to make our lives, I guess, easier is runway 13. So there will be a crosswind. I mean, I could land. Well, no, we'll do it. We'll go on runway 13 for a bit of fun, as I keep saying. I think most of the flights we'll be having around Iceland seem to be fun, i.e. crosswind. So that'll be the plan anyway. And as usual, as we go around, I'll hopefully give you some insight into the various sites you'll be seeing, and there may be some little cuts in the video just where we're flying through parts of the country where there might not be too much. This first part, for example, is over kind of farmland. So let's start the flight. We're all pretty much ready to go, so we can get going. That was my plan. So just check. Pitot is on, the landings are on, taxis are off, positions are on, strobe is on, fuel pumps are on. Again, we'll keep an eye on those, and that's it. That's all we're going to use. The altimeter for here, I've just checked, is 29880, which is set, which is right there. So let's go and head off and start this trip. Bumpy runway here, relatively typical of this part of the world. Up. And keep things nice and steady. Take a right turn. Slightly careful of that mountain off to our right. As always, we'll probably level off around 2,500 feet. good altitude. Keeps us away from any of the clouds that are around, albeit there aren't many today, which is good. So we might actually get to see Hekla. Something I haven't seen for a long time in real life. So here we are, turning back over Selfoss. Try and pick up the road out of town because, as I said before, it's kind of the easiest way to navigate. I think that is it over there. Could be slightly wrong, but we'll follow the road to the left here. Just leveled off at 1,000 feet, just wants to get my bearings. South, this is the east, yeah, so we'll follow this road off. You can obviously have a look on the compass here. Yeah, this is correct. This is road number 1. Continuing its tour of the country. Just climb steadily now. As I mentioned before, the area around here is mainly farmland. It's got a mixture of things, horses, cattle. I think they grow some stuff as well, but that's probably more under greenhouses. But certainly horses, cattle, dairy, stuff like that, all on this grassland around here. The main thing they do harvest is actually grass before the cattle, certainly during the winter months. We flew in from over here yesterday. I'd say yesterday, earlier today in my time, but our last flight I should say. Visibility today is pretty good. Some days it's crystal clear. You can see right over to the glaciers there, over in front of us, but certainly Hekla. But Hekla will appear soon, I'm pretty sure. Just as I said, that visibility dropped slightly. The power back a bit, so we're just straining the engine to pieces. Off the landing lights, which I always forget to do. Fuel pumps. Before we're using scenery from Orbex, which is a mix of all 3 of their layers plus the mesh beneath, which is FTX Global, FTX Vector, and FTX Open LC for Europe. Brings together everything, textures, rivers, roads, and then the mesh underneath is the FS Global mesh from 2010 I think I use, which is fine. It meshes really well together. Now I'm just trying to see, I think the road here, just check, this is correct, the road here goes around to the right, so we'll follow it around slightly. Well, we'll actually continue in this direction straight ahead, because actually where we want to go is straight in front of us. We'll level off here. The first kind of point of interest, you see this kind of mountain here, well, hill, comes into the river. From the ground you can see that it's like a hill that ends on a flat. Back in 2000 there were a series of earthquakes, large earthquakes for Iceland, by any standards really, when I was there in the summer. The epicenter itself was literally just under here, magnitude 6.6 and 6.5 earthquakes, and pretty much the day or the weekend after, I can't remember which, everyone got in their cars to come and see the farmhouse or the summer house opposite where a guy had been, and a crack had opened up under the corner of his house, which is, I don't know how deep it was, but it was deep enough. Everyone was peering into it at this poor guy's summer house, or little hut. It was just here by the road. The road, in fact, as well, was totally ruined. You can actually see that if you drive along the road there. You can see I think they've kept the old road. They maybe haven't changed it. Maybe they've changed it now. But you used to be able to see the warped road and the damage that it caused. Here we're just flying over, now you have to excuse any Icelanders my pronunciation, the Þjórsá River, which is actually, I said in the last video that the Ólafsá River was the largest river in Iceland, which is true. is measured in terms of flow. This is actually the longest river in Iceland. And we're actually gonna fly up it. It flows up a valley, the Þjórsárvöllur Valley, which is a valley in between the volcanic mountains up here. It's a very beautiful part of Iceland, and you kind of probably do this road that's beneath us. If I'm on the right road, it would help if I could see further, but road 1 going off this way slightly. I'm just checking my, I'll just hold my TrackIR for 1 second just so I can have a quick look on the map. Currently we are flying over a couple of lakes. Visibility was a bit better. We'll be able to see Hekla up in front of us. It should appear shortly anyway, but we're going the right way. Just checking. So yeah, as I was saying, this is the Þjórsárvöllur area, which is made up of this river here, a number of kind of volcanic mountains on either side. We're going to be flying up the east side of it towards Hekla. You can drive up here, you have to be a bit careful. It's a dirt road, as many are. I've driven up here in a non 4x4, but I'd recommend you probably take a 4x4 to be on the safe side. It winds up alongside the river. Very, very beautiful. You can drive back along the other side and you can end up in Þingvellir where we were yesterday. The Þjórsá River just on our left here actually flows away from a glacier, Hrafttinnusker, which is north from here, out to the sea, behind us. There's quite a few hydroelectric dams on it, one of which is coming up shortly as we get up towards this mountain that's appearing out of the mist in front of us. The mountain in front of us, you can just see the low hump just in the distance coming through the mist, is BIVM. That's quite a you'll hear if you are in Iceland, don't get confused, there's quite a few BIVM, but this one in particular is the easterly border of the Þjórsárvöllur Valley, which is the valley I've mentioned, and is also known because it has a hydroelectric plant underneath it. Table volcano, I don't know when it last erupted, but probably a long time ago. But here the river itself is harnessed for the electric power, and I didn't know this, but the electric power that's generated here, which is a lot, I think 270 megawatts, to, well, admittedly Wikipedia, but 270 megawatts, that is actually transported to the aluminium smelter that I mentioned yesterday in the video near Reykjavik. It's on the Reykjanes Peninsula, so the whole hydroelectric project, which is a pretty big project, I've been to it, is for one aluminium smelter, although I'd imagine they siphon off some electricity for others. That's this mountain just to our left here. It's actually underneath the mountain, or parts of the hydroelectric works are underneath the mountain here. After a series of tunnels, it's a huge engineering project. There's been a bit of controversy in the last few years because there's another aluminium smelter, I believe, it's been built in the east of the country, some wilderness part of the country, but nonetheless beautiful part of the countryside. And as it needs so much electricity, they basically dammed off a valley, created a reservoir and a dam up there to generate electricity for that smelter. So put the Icelanders up in arms, a few of them, rightly so. It's a beautiful country, you don't need aluminium smelters to make things work out here, in my opinion that is. This is BIVM on the left, where the river kind of winds around two sides of it, in fact. Beautiful waterfalls out here. More interestingly, off to our right, you can see the ridges extending here from just in front of the wing, all the way up to that peak there, shrouded in a bit of a mist and a fog, is Hekla, which is one of the most famous volcanoes that people have heard of in Iceland. The ridge itself actually is 25 miles long in total, so it extends from here all the way past down the other side of the mountain. Hekla proper is a series of fissures at the top there of the peak of about 5.5 kilometers long. So when the eruptions happen, they tend to happen along that ridge in general. Now, I didn't know this, but 10% of all the tephra, which is a type of lava, ash I believe, in Iceland, 10% of all of the Icelandic tephra apparently comes from just Hekla. It just shows how active this volcano is. I don't think it's the most active volcano. I think that's Grímsvötn and the Vatnajökull glacier. But it is a very active volcano. And Hekla means short hooded cloak. Or so I'm led to believe. They say that is because it is often shrouded in cloud. And, well, yeah, there's a mist around it today. There's a bit of cloud trying to sit on the top, and it usually is hunkered under a cloud layer. And we're actually quite lucky today to see it. Accuracy-wise, scenery-wise, this is what it looks like, an upturned boat, they say. In reality, it is a bit more dark and foreboding. I've driven up this road here on the left, and the scenery around here is black. There's very fresh lava flows that come round from the peak of Hekla. And it's a black, barren landscape round here. Spectacular, but black and barren. Hekla's quite an unusual volcano, apparently. It's a mix between a fissure volcano, or a crater row along fissures, and a stratovolcano. So it can do a mix of things. It can erupt spectacularly or explosively, but also can erupt in the fiery, pretty kind of traditional lava flow way as well. Quite a dangerous volcano, to be honest. If the big eruptions happen, then the whole top ridge or side crater rows erupt. I'm planning to fly around the back of it here so I can show you. I need to probably climb a little bit, so I have a bit of power. We'll take a right turn here. So this is Hekla. Fly over the ridges. We'll probably get a little bump from weather engine. The volcanic ridge extending down. I'm sure it's safe to do this on a non-active day. Certainly wouldn't want to fly around here on a day where there's stuff happening. Speaking of which, you wouldn't have much notice either, so if it is an area you fly around in, apparently you get around 30 to 80 minutes notice of an eruption at Hekla, which is not a lot. You'd want to make sure you've got plenty of room around you, but to be honest, the chances of it going up whilst you're flying over it are pretty slim. Probably guarantee it won't happen today. You can see the ridges extending off. And ridges up to the top, craters. Cloud coming in. Bumping a bit, the turbulence from active sky next, simulated very well. Actually aiming for this glacier ahead of us. Go around. Hoping to go around the back. I'm not sure how possible that is, but we'll do it anyway. We'll go off to the left and around the back. 4,500 feet, being pushed around a bit. Start to see some landscapes coming out of the visibility further off. Very kind of stark, barren landscape. Hekla behind us. Some people, they say it's too stark, it's too barren and remote unusual. It's somewhere you have to kind of see to understand its beauty. It's kind of a cold beauty. It's very hard to describe. It's breathtaking, but it's not for everybody. The reason I'm taking this route is because I wanted to fly around the back of this glacier on the right, leaving Hekla behind us. Incidentally, Hekla last erupted in the year 2000, so it's been quite a while since it last erupted. There's been a bit of activity there recently, but anyway, moving on to this glacier here. On the right, this peak, these two humps. Very small glacier there. So the peak on our right is quite hard to pronounce. Glacier. Eyjafjallajökull. Yeah, try and saying that. It's a bit of a mouthful. It's actually quite a common volcano under the glacier tip there, quite a small one. We've heard that before, but actually if you look out the window in front of us, you can see another one. This is Eyjafjallajökull in front of us, which has got a huge volcano. In fact, pretty much everything you see for that white ice cap in front of us, from the left to the right, is the crater. Massive volcano. I'll tell you a bit more about Catz in another video, because we'll fly down to the south of that. And then just over to the right is another glacier. That one is a little bit more familiar to people, because it caused a lot of disruption in 2010 to air travel. Eyjafjallajökull. And when we come round the ridge here, I'll tell you a bit more about that one. I'm flying around this ridge here because it's one of the most beautiful parts of Iceland to visit. I haven't flown it, so I don't know what it's like from the air, but certainly to visit it by car or bus, as you would have to, is stunning round here. Off to the left here, these mountains are an area called Landmannalaugar. In real life, the colours here are kind of this sandy oranges and browns. I'll post a picture up now. We're flying along, so you can see what it looks like. It's not depicted correctly here, but it's a stunning, beautiful area. This whole part of Iceland is a great part of Iceland, a couple of hours outside of Reykjavik, to come and visit. If ever you're around here, that isn't just the traditional kind of tourist routes around that people see. Up ahead of us is the glacier of Eyjafjallajökull, which I think is the second largest in the country. Big ice cap. Here you can see Eyjafjallajökull on our right. What we're going to do is we're actually going to take a right turn here, flying down this valley. It's a perfect route to take, follow the river out to the sea and actually straight out to where we want to be. So take a right turn in a second once we clear the volcano. As you can see, we're a bit higher than we were. Now we're at 5,000 feet. We'll come back down towards sea level, 2,000 feet-ish, as we head into the valley. This is two glaciers, Eyjafjallajökull, Eyjafjallajökull. It's the join in between. A little bumpy here again. Good weather. None of the flights I've done here in the recent past has the weather been nice at all. So this makes a nice change. If I was going to criticise anything about the scenery, it's that it's really spectacular here in real life. And if they could somehow made it so you can see the glacier tongues that come down to the rivers and things like that in a little bit more detail, they've been great, because this is a bit more of a generic kind of snow cap just sat there, but in real life this is unbelievably kind of spectacular around these parts. I'll put a couple of pictures up just to demonstrate that. So we're going to take this river down through the valley here. This is Thorsmork. again pronounced beautifully, I'm sure. So I think the mountain ridge of Thorsmork is there itself, but is actually the name given to the area as well. A popular hiking destination during the summer months for tourists. But as having said that, it never gets busy, or it hasn't whenever I've gone in my limited times here. It's just not that sort of country. It's the area actually described, this valley here between Eyjafjallajökull on the left and Þórsmörk on the right. The river that comes here. So this river actually comes from the glacier itself on the left. It's a grey, dirty river. The various tongues of the glacier on our left and Eyjafjallajökull behind as well. Come into this river, flow out round the edge of the mountain and volcano, and out into the sea. And it's only passable in the summer. So they bring buses and you can get a 4x4 and come down this valley here. You can actually see the roads below. In fact, I think there's an airfield down here. Would have perhaps made a nice stop. Yeah, there is. Anyway, we'll overfly that. But you can come down here in a 4x4. You must have a 4x4 because you actually have to go across this river. You have to know what you're doing. I mean, this is a river that has changeable conditions depending on the heat, the meltwater, things like that from the glacier. So I've been across it in a bus and the water was up to the windows in it. I mean, it's pretty fun, a little scary in some parts. You certainly want to have your wits around you as well. If there's any indication that volcanoes around here are, the ice caps are going to do anything, you want to make sure you are well away from this area because this whole area floods. The river here beneath us. This area is quite unusual. It's very sheltered here between these two valleys, or in this valley it's very sheltered. So there's a lot of vegetation here. It's a bit warmer as well, so people come here and the climate's a little bit warmer for Iceland, and it's a well-visited part of the country. And it's, like I say, only a couple of hours out of town. Actually, for Eyjafjallajökull itself, on our left, it's a small glacier, and the volcano is beneath it. It's a stratovolcano, and the crater itself is about 4 kilometers big, wide, and south side, off to our left, used to actually be the coastline. We'll come back to that after on our next flight, when we come back from the Westman Islands. The coastline itself used to end at the edge of this volcano. And there's some sharp cliffs there with some big waterfalls. Famous waterfalls that you'll have seen in all the pictures of Iceland. They use the same ones. Fly past one now, which isn't depicted in this. It was depicted in the Aerosoft scenery that used to be Icelandic. It's not in this scenery, but that's okay. Still know where it is. Kind of have a look back. This was causing all the problems. 2010. If you were flying a flight in Europe, you were most likely disrupted at that point. They actually started out as a fissure eruption between the two glaciers of Eyjafjallajökull and Eyjafjallajökull. The ground opened on a popular hiking trail from the south side over to Thorsmork, which I don't think anyone was on it at the time because I think it opened at night, but it still opened up in an unusual place. It was quite a small eruption. They were expecting more, I think, from the activity that was happening, but then it stopped. Then it erupted proper underneath the ice cap, and that's what caused all the problems, all the ash, all the ice melting, the flooding down here underneath us, out to the sea, and mainly the disruption to air travel people were experiencing in Europe because of the ash blowing southeasterly over to the UK and so forth. And I mean, it wasn't even that big an eruption. I mean, it looked pretty spectacular, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not a big eruption. I mean, if Hekla next door goes off, that's going to be usually is a seriously big eruption. But I think the direction of the wind flow is what caused the huge issues. 2010, this whole area beneath us in 2010 would have been a huge wide river of glacial ice water melt. I don't think it washed away the bridges, but that has been known to happen. As we fly around the south of the country, there'll be some bridges that you'll see that have certainly been washed away. And actually, I think last year or a couple of years ago, recently in fact, there was a meltwater flow from under Hekla, which caused people some alarm. You can actually see there's a bridge off the number 1 road, bridge just off the nose there. It's number 1 road which we're rejoining that comes all the way from over there, which is where we were. And the reason I brought you this way is because that's a flat expanse of farmland and not much. So I thought we'd come back round the more pretty route. See if we can see Hekla. Kind of. No, not quite. So yeah, just down here on the left, in real life. Though again, not particularly accurately depicted here, is a very famous waterfall. In fact, it's just back there. Selfoss. You can see it from a long way. A very tall, graceful waterfall, and it's famous for being the one that you see everyone walking behind. And you can go behind it, which is a good experience. Once we've stopped over at Vestmannaeyjar up ahead of us, we'll come back and follow this road to the east, along some of the scenery I know very well in real life. That'll be on the next flight. Up ahead, you can see the appearance of the Vestmannaeyjar, which again you can see on a good clear day like today from the ground. Not actually too far out to sea. But they're all volcanic islands, and they're all linked to the same volcanic system as the Hekla, as Eyjafjallajökull, as Catz. They're all kind of linked to the same, I guess, hotspot you'd probably call it. As I mentioned, it's a bit windier. Let's have a look what the weather's like now. Vestmannaeyjar. Previously, I think it was 090 wind at 17 knots. Let's have a look what it is now. Well, it's Iceland for you. I'll just bring in the weather. The weather is now 2 knots from the north. So, it doesn't really matter which runway we land on, which is quite good actually. We'll be heading to, having said that, it is bumpy. Anyway, we'll be heading to the largest of the islands, Heimaey. There's a series of islands here. We'll be familiar with these islands from various news reports, particularly those of a slightly older generation perhaps, 60s and 70s. There are a couple of famous eruptions. 1963, the eruption of Surtsey off to the south of the islands. We may get to see it from today, but I'm not sure. The eruption off to the south, which created a whole new island, which provided scientists with a new piece of land to study and see how it's developed. I think they still do that now. I'm not sure you're allowed to even set foot on it to this day. It's such a pristine, natural environment for scientific testing purposes. When I say scientific testing, I mean they're monitoring things. They're not out there doing strange experiments. I'm just going to check the charts for the Vestmannaeyjar. I think what we'll do is we'll fly around and land on runway 04, slightly changing our plan. It'll give us a chance to overfly behind the island, so presumably 04 is the opposite side. Here's the largest island of Heimaey, which again people may be familiar with, remember from the news stories. In the 70s when a volcano erupted just above the town here itself. So town here with a population of about 4,000, it was probably a bit less back then. And in 1973, a eruption, a new volcano basically grew just behind the town, which we may see as we land, and threatened to cover the whole town with lava, a big lava eruption. They evacuated the island in one night, I believe, and all the fishing vessels left the port, and then over a period of time they started to spray the lava with seawater because it was starting to come down very perilously close to the town. And it's I think the first example of a time when humans have managed to control the flow of lava, and they managed to stop it. You can actually see, well, I don't know, but just there's a natural harbour that's formed as a result of that. So 2 peaks here and here at the back, I believe, with the erupting peaks. Town is just here, so imagine it was pretty scary, and the lava came down, threatened to shut off their harbour here, but actually by fluke it actually managed to shape and channel a perfect harbour, so the harbour now is in perfect condition. More perfect shape to shelter the fishing vessels that are here. Somewhere I've never been, but you can fly from Reykjavik directly here with Air Iceland and Eagle Air, I believe they're called. Never done that. I'm going to start coming down a little bit. What elevation is this airport? Let's just check. Looks like it's a little high, 318 feet. UNH is 2977. Down a little bit. Where are we? H 2977. Okay, set. Our landing lights on. Fuel pumps. Is our fuel looking a bit unbalanced? We didn't see that. So we'll be landing here. Runway 04. And we'll come back in. I think the island of Surtsey, which I mentioned, is the southernmost island, so it's probably that one you can just see in the distance. Probably do a loop out around this island on our left here. Probably one of only a couple of occasions where we'll probably fly out over sea. The other being in the north of the country if we head out to the Arctic Circle itself. Turn to the left now. Perfect day for flying, it turns out. I'm sure we will get some conditions to fly in. In fact, I may deliberately do a couple of flights in traditional Icelandic conditions that don't require us to have a good view of decent scenery, just for the fun of it. There is Surtsey off to the right. Eyjafjallajökull to our left. Town. It looks like we land just at the back of the volcano that erupted. Eldfell? Little Eldfell? I don't know. Just gonna make a turn to the left, 2,000 feet. Slow down a bit, let's add a bit of flat, don't do us any harm. Make our final turn just over this island here in front. Speed 110 knots for now. No, see, we're still high. The lights on the runway. You need to come down a touch. But it's a long runway, or longish for this aircraft, I'm pretty sure. Should be fine. This is where things like TrackIR are extremely useful. You can check out where you are in terms of progress. We'll start to make our final turn here. Particularly, so I mean, I've not flown here before, landed here previously, so things like TrackIR do make a huge difference. Weather visibility isn't brilliant. I mean, on a clear day you can see the beautiful Eyjafjallajökull up behind there. Mainland, and the glacier, you can just make out the top of mid-altitude really if you look carefully. Let me just full flaps, concentrate on flying, get on line, power back, nose down. was a relatively easy landing compared to the last couple. Oh, hang on, we're not down yet, I suppose. A bit high. I'm going to go with my sight. I think we're all right. A bit of a wind, but not too much to worry about. Bring it back to the centre. We're down. Brakes on. Yeah, this is the volcano up here on the right that erupted. It's the airport itself, where's that? Where's that might be it. Taxi to the end of the runway, see if we can see the town. I'll get the viewing point. Stop just there. Oh, you can kind of see it. Anyway, so this is the end of this video, and next time we'll be flying back to the mainland and along the south coast a little way, and towards, well, I'm not sure where we'll end up actually, but until then, thanks for watching and see you in the next video.